I was married.
Why I got divorced and walked away from my 12 years marriage with 4 kids is not something I planned, and it's not something I wished for. Yes, I got married early. I was in my 20s when I met this man, and I fell in love with him and we got married. So I never for one day planned or envisaged or had it in mind that one day that I was gonna walk away from the marriage, but circumstances made me to, and it's not something I can begin to explain because it happened in 12 whole years. So I had this interview,
I was married, but now I'm single.
and a lot of
Okay,
comments
okay, you've been
have
married.
been
Yes,
coming
I was
in.
married for
So my
12
story
years.
Are you
is
serious?
Yes.
You've
it's
been married for
traumatic,
12
it
whole
is
years.
Yes.
touching, it's painful because I went through a lot of pain in those 12 years that I covered up. A lot of people didn't know what I went through, until it became worse, until I opened up because I know how to package. Remember, I had a school, and I had a school to protect, and I didn't want my parents to know what was going on in the school because a lot of my parents believed so much in me. I was like a role model. They come to me for their problems. So some of them even come to me to counsel them in their marriages, and I was doing so well in all that. Okay, so it was so hard for me to like open up to like to let them know him I got through. So I bottled everything in, and I was hoping that in due time it was going to get better. Yeah. People are saying, oh, why did I not walk away? Why did I stay up to 12 years? Marriage is not something you just go into and walk out. Where I come from is sacred. I'm from Imo State, be say precisely, and I know the value that I got. Despite I didn't have parents, I lost my mom a long time ago as a child. So, but despite that, I had uncles and aunties that I grew up with, and I know the value that they taught me. That marriage is something you go in, you don't come out. It's supposed to be forever. I wasn't planning of leaving the marriage. I wasn't. So if I left, Namputa and the marriage is because I could no longer bear the pain and everything that was going on. Being in a particular marriage that you have to go through a lot of pain every day, fights. Okay, so we there's no day we talk that we don't argue. It got to a point where there was no love again, there was no interest. I want to but I want to and it was abusive. So why would I leave? It wasn't easy. I summoned courage. It was so difficult because I didn't know how to start. Oh, not financially. Okay, the children. I was looking at the children. The reason why I didn't leave my marriage in the first year was because I never wanted to be a single mom. I didn't want to come out and be on the street and have men take advantage of me, right? So that was one of the reasons why I stayed. Even in the pain, even in the beating, even the trampling. Over the year, he would beat me, he would beat me, he would say sorry. I would forgive him because I forgive a lot. I'm a kind of person that I love. When I love a man, I love him totally. I love him in total. I love everything about him. I don't care about his money. I don't care about what he can give me at the moment. As long as the man is willing to work on himself and build something together, I would be ready. I was ready. I was a breadwinner. I wasn't complaining being a breadwinner. In fact, I had it because I was churchy then, very churchy, and my church, what they taught us that marriage is for better for worse, and that a woman should be a virtuous woman and you should be able to cover your husband's back. So I was doing all of that and hoping that he would also pick up at some point, but he never picked up. Year 1, year 2, year 3, so many, he was never picked up. Instead, he was bringing me down. What do I mean by bringing me down? He was nakpata or nakpafu. He was wasting, he was doing women. You understand? He was wasting the resources. Imagine on our school fees. He would spend the school fees, he would not let me know. And then at the end of the day, I would be struggling to pay salary, struggle to feed the house, and a whole lot. If you knew me back then and see me now, you will be wondering where this flesh came from. I might have to post my picture of when I was married to him and now. They're not gonna feel the difference. I'm gonna feel that now I'm looking more better. Because as at then, even with 4 children, I looked like I was just 17 years. I look like my daughter right now because they want my flesh. Get come see my flesh. When I'm always in pain. At some point I wanted us to see a marriage counselor, but he said no. Now I brought on daughter. Now not an African marriage counselor and all of that, because I wanted us to talk to somebody who's a neutral person, not family member, because I don't believe in involving my family into my marital affair. In fact, as a matter of fact, none of my family knew about my issues because I know they didn't like him. You know, I'm from Imo State, he's an Ambra, and they didn't agree in the marriage. So whenever I go to my family and they talk about him, they talk badly about him, it hurts me. You understand? So I didn't go to them telling them about him because I know they would do it to be a platform for them to like begin to mock me, begin to say, hey, hi Paragawa, we told you, and all of that, and I don't like it. So I never for one day went to any of them. When the whole thing blew and the marriage crashed, my family were surprised. In fact, my auntie was livid because when I had my son, he came for a Mugo. She saw the scenario. She saw into him and his family members. My auntie said, come out. My auntie said, put on a marriage. I refused. I look at my son, just a baby. He was just a week, 2 weeks old. And he was so cute. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to come out. But then, can you for why sitting down? Even you as a child will not see it. Why standing on an Iroko tree? But I'm saying, no, I have a child for him. I can't come out. I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to, no, my son will suffer. My son will not have a daddy. I was scared. I said no. She continued. She said so many things. She tried to convince me. Joe, I'm back. I'll make you work. This man, this man cannot make you happy. I cannot wait to call. He got that for a marriage. I was rejecting it. And I stood in that marriage. That was when my son was just a baby that my aunt came for a Mogo. She was shocked. She was surprised. She was livid when I actually came out after 12 years. I said, what happened? You've endured it. And I told her I couldn't continue. The abuse was much. The beating. I can't even count how many apology letters this man has written to me to say he's sorry, it will happen again. And it happens all over and all over and all over. Maybe they though. I don't want to go into the details on even when I was pregnant, when he hit me and I fainted, or for my first child, or for even the last child. Now, what really happened? What broke the camel's back that made me say, okay, I'm done? Because other times I would say I was done and he would beg me, I will accept. Now, let me tell you what happened. In the marriage, I was the one who always initiates the knocking. He doesn't. And I thought at first that he was shy. So I'm not shy. So, he's my husband. So it's not a big deal. Anybody can approach for it. For me, it's my thing. So I can ask whenever I have a need for it. I was sexually very active. So I was always going for him. Sometimes I would almost want to force him to do it, like rape. You know what I mean? Or some may by force and have my thing and satisfy myself, and I will leave him to it. And all of our children that we had, the only of my child that my ex-husband initiated the knacking was my first son. The other three, I was one that initiated my pregnancy, as in initiated knacking that got me pregnant for those children. Imagine getting pregnant. Now you go know how you get pregnant all through the 9 months. Now you go know how you go hospital when it's time for B. After I have a cut, when you have a child, my kids are usually very big. I have them 4 kg, 3.9, 4.1. That's how big my kids are, and I always have a cut. Imagine in that pain, I'll have to source out on how I'm going to build myself out from the Onogu. Oh my God, see, and the ATM, God withdraw ego with the pampers, also. My younger sister will come and all of that. Oh my God, nature, all those financial burden and otherwise. Those were not my problem. Those were not my problem. Now back to getting back to war. Sorry. So all these things has been happening. I've been enduring it. Each time I have a problem, either I'm the one that offend him or I'm the offend. I'll always be the one to say sorry. Or man have to say sorry. He doesn't have to say do apology. I understood that. So I always go to him and I will kneel down. He's way older than me, so I always kneel down. Daddy, I call him daddy. It doesn't call me anything, no. It doesn't call me anything because if he wants to talk to me now, Kedugi, Isina, Bia, like that. He doesn't call me anything. He wants to refer me to his friends, Onye Bem. Do you understand? And I've done so much correction. Stop calling me Onye Begi. I'm your wife. I'm Onye Begi. And stop calling me Kedugi. Isina, Bia, Isina. In English, come on, what did you say? What did you say? You said what? That's how he calls me. He doesn't call me any name. I call him daddy because I want the kids to learn to call him daddy too. So I always kneel down and beg him. So this particular time, after the whole issues has been going on, problem, I was not happy anymore. He was not so happy in the marriage.